Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Jen Spencer. Jen is the CEO of SmartBug Media. Now, at Inbound a few years ago, I'd met some of the SmartBug team and they raved about working here. So when an opportunity arose to interview their fearless leader, I jumped at the chance. Jen took over as a CEO after being SmartBug's VP of Sales and Marketing and then CRO. She has a wealth of agency knowledge from just multiple foxholes, and she provided so many great insights in this episode. In this episode, we discuss how to foster a strong culture even as your team breaks triple digits, why training your clients is one of the best things an agency can do, how to provide value to a partner ecosystem that gives back, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by ZenPilot. There are lots of tools out there for agencies to manage projects, but any project issues aren't usually caused by the tool, they're from your own processes. ZenPilot helps agencies implement their project management tools while streamlining operations, so your team can move from chaos to clarity. You can see for yourself at zenpilot.com/forward. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Jen Spencer. It's easier than ever to start an agency, but it's only getting harder to stand out and keep it alive. Join me as we explore the strategies agencies are using today to secure a better tomorrow. This is Agency Forward. What's the future of agencies look like from your foxhole?
Oh, the future of agencies. I think agencies in the future are evolving with customer needs and customer experiences and buying behaviors, are having to be multi-channel, very collaborative, and partner with a lot of different other organizations as well. I think the future of an agency, it's the ecosystem that the agency plays in. And the value that they bring to an ecosystem is far more important than just solely what that agency does in terms of like process and system. So I think the future is all about the ecosystem that you're in.
Man, this is awesome. You said so many things that have like lead into other questions that I wanted to get into. So this is like, all right,
okay,
perfect setup. So let's actually jump right into there. What changes have you seen with like buyer behavior, shifting?
I think buyers are looking for trust. They're looking for confirmation that they're making the right move, that this is the right solution. I think the infusion of AI in the marketing, sales, and customer success landscape that agencies are like SmartBug, that we are integrating and that we're further developing is causing it causes there to be disruption, right? And that disruption doesn't have to be a bad thing. That could be a good thing, but it's disrupting making us think differently about the way that we approach challenges, the way we approach customer problems, and the types of tools and resources that our customers have at their fingertips. So when I think back to like Mad Men days of agents at agencies, company business comes in with, well, we want to sell more of this thing. We still have that, right? Like people still want to sell more of this one thing. Right? We want to sell more of this thing. And then this agency, this team goes and they pour themselves over creative and copy and look at visuals and come up with a pitch and then present that to their potential customers, right? Their clients, I should say. The thing is like our clients today, they know a lot about their customers. They're sitting on a lot of data that their customers have, like first party data. And like the best agencies are going to know how to operationalize that data, how to extract it from those client systems and brains and the people and everywhere and kind of put it into action, as opposed to a universe where agencies are the experts and the brands come to the agencies looking for a roadmap of like what's going to happen next. Our clients are really smart. They know what they're looking for, and they're looking for kind of data and support to back up these moves that they're looking to make.
Right. So the client is the expert in whatever their area is, and then with the agency now being more of the expert in deploying those insights to increase visibility for the client.
I think so. And so I think when a customer is looking at an agency and a potential client's looking at what agency do I want to work with, they want to make sure that the agency that they're selecting is capable of ushering them through that change, ushering them through potentially uncharted territories, right? So it's no longer, oh, well, I sell toothpaste and we market toothpaste. And so I'm going to go work with this advertising agency that has this deep experience in the toothpaste, area of the market. That used to be, and I'm using it really like that kind of sounds silly, but honestly, like I talk to potential clients all the time who come to me with a very similar type of ask. But instead, agencies have this opportunity to look at, well, what is the buyer change, or what is the customer behavior that's changing, and how do we meet the needs of those customers, and how do we learn from what another industry might be doing, or do we have the technical expertise, that technical prowess to be able to unlock those data insights and craft forward-looking solutions for them versus, oh, we know this space and we know what kind of art or what kind of copy resonates with that buyer.
Right. So how has that changed, I guess, your strategies at SmartBug to actually collect all this information?
Yeah, it's changed as we're a HubSpot partner. We're an elite HubSpot partner. It's a really important part of our business. And we've evolved as the HubSpot platform has evolved. So the way that we've had to change is we started as really an inbound marketing agency back in 2007. I'm not the founder. I was actually a client twice. I came looking for support with the HubSpot platform from a technical perspective and then the inbound methodology and met SmartBug. But as HubSpot has evolved into being a customer platform with a CRM, with sales engagement tools and with customer success tools and customer support suite, we need to evolve to meet the needs of our customers, of this ecosystem that we're in. And it's made us think more holistically about the entire customer lifecycle. It's made us question and poke holes at, where there's points of friction and handoffs between various departments and teams. And it's making us be, when we're serving as a marketing support, it's making us be a better marketer. When we're serving in sales support, it's making us be a better partner in sales. And that's impacting the type of people that we hire. It's changing the way that we approach training and the way that we measure success of our teams. And it's changing the way we position ourselves in our broader ecosystem that we serve.
Right. And you have well over 300 team members at this point. Like, that has to have an impact on just the systems that you have to deploy now to keep everything running, so that when you are looking at that full customer life cycle, it's like those handoffs are on point, right? You can't miss a beat. How do you guys approach it?
Yeah. Well, we're constantly making refinements to that rocket ship, right? As we're flying it, and in part because some of our growth has come through some acquisition. So last year we acquired another top HubSpot partner, Globalia, out of Montreal, Canada, because we looked at them and they were about the inverse of us. So we were mainly strategists and some creatives, and some developers with technical expertise. And they were mostly developers, mostly technicians, and then a smaller subset of strategists and creatives. And so our two organizations coming together with also similar values, similar goals, it made a lot of sense for us. So we're in the process right now of trying to figure out, like, well, what is our the SmartBug 2.0? What is the future of that organization look like? And while we're actually actively just blocking and tackling, right? So we looked at from that perspective, it was looking at like, well, what are the strengths and the skills and the team members that we have, and who do we need? Where do we have gaps? And let's get those folks plugged in as soon as possible. But while we're also thinking about how we're scaling the future of our operations, and it's changing right now. It's actively changing the career growth paths that we have for our teams, and it's allowing us to, with our size, it's allowing us to have deeper specialization, both in specific go-to-market strategies and skills, but also verticalized expertise that our clients are looking for.
Man, so that must be exciting, even just for being on the team, right? And like probably exciting for you as
Sure.
well. Anytime you're acquiring and bringing in new team members as well, just like standard growth and all of these different things, like that could take a toll on the culture if you're not having this like deliberate, attention to it. Like, how are you approaching that where, you are bringing in other teams and maybe the career path that someone came to you expecting is going to shift a little, like maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, it's in the process of just going through an acquisition. When you go through due diligence, you have an opportunity to get to know that team a bit, or get to know the culture, and it's something that's really important to be vetting, to be constantly thinking about. So it can be very easy just to look at numbers on a page. Or look at kind of services, like look at a company on paper, but you have to also look at the culture of the organization. And so I would say, first of all, if there's massive misalignment with the culture, then that's a big red flag. And I would really encourage anyone in my shoes to say, wait, like let's pump the brakes, and it doesn't make sense for us to maybe to pursue this. If we're planning on integrating not just the process, but the people and all of our systems as well. I think something that's really helped us with our acquisition of Globalia was that, first of all, we're in the same ecosystem. We use the same systems. So we're both using HubSpot as a CRM for marketing, what have you, for development. We are also both using the same project management system, Teamwork, for our internal operations. That means we can move quite a bit faster and have that integration happen more. I think more seamlessly than if we were on completely different systems. And then it's very timely. And once a year, we get everyone together, everyone at SmartBug together we call it SmartBug-a-Palooza. It's a full company in-person event, and this year we will have two like groups that are joining us that are from acquired organizations, and we're coming together as like one SmartBug 2.0, and that will be, I think, a drinking from a fire hose opportunity to kind of get engaged in culture. But there are so many nuances to culture that I'm discovering every day.
Right. And within a team of that size, like you have all these subcultures kind of that flourish within like individual teams and stuff that you kind of manage, and hopefully they fit in really well with the bigger culture. It's like you want them a little independent so they have some pride in their team, but you still want them tied into the bigger picture. Like, yeah. It's
we do. And I mean, it's like, I think one of the things that I've always appreciated about SmartBug is the way that like the culture, it blooms from within. So we really empower team members to build into our culture, to kind of curate things. And there's quite a lot that it happens not related to the work that we do at SmartBug. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes with people just bonding and connecting and getting to know each other. And so it's one of the first places that will really get folks to interact and build relationships. And then that translates really beautifully into the work that they're doing with their clients as well. So our individual teams have their own identities. They've got fun names. They've got different kind of missions and like vision statements for their organizations, but it all rolls up ultimately into the mission, the vision, the core values of SmartBug. And everyone needs to understand the role that they play on that team and how they contribute to our greater goals.
Okay. It's awesome. So one of the things I think probably shook a lot of cultures last year specifically was AI coming out. A lot of teams getting worried it's going to take our jobs, right? What's the future going to look like? How are you implementing AI solutions at SmartBug to kind of make sure your team still feels good, like they're not going to be replaced by a robot, but then you're actually able to deliver better results for your clients?
I think the first thing is to recognize that AI is becoming table stakes with a team, with a system. I think about like, what do we do before calculators, right? Like, well, at some point, like we started using calculators in various formats, right? And it doesn't mean that you are not as smart as not as good at math because you're using a calculator, right? It's just you're using this tool, so it's a tool. And so I think the most important thing that we can do is first look at how can we best leverage this tool to achieve better results faster, right? And so it's the best way to do that is to involve the people, the teams that are going to be leveraging that technology, or potentially that might be replaced. If you want to say that, like, would they be replaced by that technology? Getting them involved. So, for example, when there was this surge of attention around generative AI, the first thing that we did was put together an AI committee that was spearheaded by our creative team. So rather than having a bunch of technologists or worse than that, a bunch of executives like me, right? Off in a corner in a vacuum, deciding like how we're going to use this, getting it into the hands of the people who understand that space, understand like what problem they're trying to solve the most, and getting their input and getting their feedback, and the way that they're finding success in using that technology. That's been really helpful for us. I think the other thing about AI is and this is it's got to be accepted. It's got to be kind of consumed, and the market that we're in is making that really easy for us because I don't know what I've logged into, whether it's personally or professionally lately, that doesn't have some kind of an AI component in it. This is just the way it is now. So if there's an agency that's kind of holding off on embracing AI, like I don't understand why. You're going to be, putting yourselves out of date really, really fast.
Yeah. I mean, I'm calling it the AI paradox for agencies, where it's like, you need it if you want to be competitive and keep up with everybody. But if you over rely on it and you don't have those requisite skills to even know that AI has a great output from what you're putting into it, now that's a problem too. So it's like, how do you find that balance? Yeah.
Right. And it's I think you do that by I think it's through the talent that you hire, through the way that you coach and train your teams, through the access to tools that you're able to provide, through the use of systems that are exploring and innovating with AI, and also to kind of rally that team to find creative solutions for their teams and for their clients using AI. And as you're exploring, then you can start to identify, well, here are these core areas where we see that this is very effective. And now let's make this part of our process. Now let's actually document this. Let's put this in our quote unquote playbook.
I very much like that process. So, okay, something that I have noticed from some of the well-respected agencies out there, SmartBug being one of them, is that you also offer a lot of training for your clients. And I've noticed with smaller agencies, there's a lot of pushback on like, well, if I train them, then right? I'm essentially pushing myself out of a job because now they know how to do it. But like, there has to be something to be said for agencies that have reached like SmartBug's caliber doing this. Like, there is some value there, obviously. Like, what is your thinking, I guess, around training clients, and why should more agencies be doing this?
Oh, wow. This is like a whole big topic. So first, I would say I would frame this by saying I subscribe to the inbound methodology when it comes to all things marketing and sales.
Mhm.
So I'm all about giving stuff away for quote free, right?
Yeah.
Anytime over my career when we've had an internal process, some kind of system, some kind of tool, something that's been really helpful, I look at how do I get this into the hands of the market so that it can help better prepare them for whatever the next step is in their customer journey. And some people have said, well, you're giving it away for free. You're showing them exactly what we would do. Okay, just because you give it to them, just because you show it to them, doesn't mean that they can actually do it, right? And in our market, I mean, we want to be working with a type of revenue leader who is also capable of doing some things, and they have a team that's capable of doing some things for themselves. There's things that we need to teach them how to fish, and then there's other things that we're going to do too. So when I think about the training that we're providing to our clients, it's typically, we're not training them on how to do marketing strategy, really. I mean, we're training them on how to use systems that they've invested in. We're training them on how to kind of craft content that they need, that's like bespoke content to create like hyper personalized experiences at scale across their sales and their customer success teams. We are training them on how to improve, how to be more productive and be more effective using AI, right? Using generative AI tools. Because the thing is, if a typical client of ours comes to us and says, okay, hey, Jen, like marketing was responsible in our company. Last year, marketing drove 10% of all sales pipeline. And this year it needs to be 30%. And we need help with both the strategy and execution of how we get there. Wow, like we've got a lot of mountains to move. And yeah, sure, as SmartBug, we could do it all. We could do all that strategy, we could do all of that execution, but our customer only has so much money to spend, so much in their budget, and they've got some talented people on their team. So I think about it like dividing and conquering. And it makes me go back to when I was a client of SmartBugs. There were things that I knew I could do as the brand, and that I had a team that was well equipped to do. There were other things that I didn't feel I was skilled to do, or frankly, I didn't want to do, that I would give to the agency, give to SmartBug. And what I would do when I was a client, and I would look at the way that SmartBug would create systems and outlines and processes, and I would look at what could I borrow, what can I now replicate across my team, and by doing that, we were able to hit our goals faster and more efficiently. And so I would encourage agencies to think about, hey, you're in this with the client. If you're working with a client, imagine that you're responsible for revenue growth or profitability or whatever it is, the reason that you're there with that customer. And what happens when you think about yourself as a true extension of their team, as opposed to just outsourcing it on their behalf. It changes the dynamic of the way that you partner with that customer. It makes you more of a partner, less of a vendor, and it gets you more up close and personal with the true challenges that they're experiencing, which makes you stickier, and it will improve your retention.
Right. It definitely changes the way you think through problems within the relationship as well. Like, if you're there for just marketing help, you're only looking at a small piece of the pie. But when you say, hey, I need you to be successful with everything, it's like, well, actually, we can also improve your handoff to sales here by just doing these
Right.
few things. And now you've inserted yourself into this entire strategy to help them actually achieve a bigger goal.
Exactly. I mean, I think about times where we've had prospects come to us and they say, well, we have to like 5X or 6X our top of funnel leads. And I'll look and I'll see, like you just called out maybe there's like a sales conversion, challenge, and there's some sales enablement that's needed. And let's talk about sales. Let's talk about sales leadership and what's the relationship like between marketing leadership and sales leadership. So that's one avenue. Another is also looking at their overall go-to-market strategy. So when I hear something like that, and then I look at the client and see, okay, you actually have like a whole separate channel that you go to market through with, whether they're OEMs, they're SIs, they're referral partners, they're affiliates. What percentage of revenue are these folks kind of carrying? And do we really need to add 500 more leads to the top of funnel? Or could we have like modest improvements across like your top 5 channel partners, and what impact would that have? And that, I think that's as an agency, like what we need to be thinking about, how to solve the big picture problems for our clients, as opposed to just coming in with a kind of a task-based solution.
Right. Yeah, it definitely gives credence to like niching yourself into a problem that you can solve, rather than just saying, I'm going to write you some blog posts. It's like,
Yep.
no, we're going to get you more awareness that drives revenue for your business. So now it's really like, if that MQL number, maybe it's just we optimize 1% there, and that has a outsized impact instead of having to double the number of people coming into the website.
Yeah.
And it's super simple thinking, but I think a lot of agencies kind of skip over that as they get anchored to the tactical deliverable.
They do. And I think it's, if I think back to what you're talking about with like a blog or like a creative agency, or when I think back to when our services, if I kind of roll back the clock and think about when our services were mainly content based, because at one point they were, and we started to see some shifts in buyer behavior and some more interest in some account-based motions and better collaboration between marketing and sales, and not even getting into like ecosystem-led growth and channel partners. It's a whole other area. But I would start looking at, well, we need a certain amount of content. We need these blogs. We need this for a couple of reasons. We need it for SEO purposes. Now we need it for AI, visibility, but we also need it for the thought leadership and proof that you're a trusted brand. And when I would look at, well, what do we need to build for our clients? And we think about being a professional services model, which is largely hours based. So you think about like, okay, well, how many hours is this going to take and what do I need to charge? The content needs are always, from what I've seen, always going to outweigh, the content needs are always going to be larger than the budget that the client has to allocate towards development of content. And so because of that, and because we work with our clients on retainer and they're hiring us for outcomes, not for deliverables, it made us go, all right, well, maybe it's going to take us, we know it's going to take us more than say 4 hours to write a really good blog article, but we also know that our client's probably not going to spend more than 4 hours worth of their budget on this content. And so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take more time to write it because we care more about the results that it brings than just getting paid to do like the hourly work. And that's where, if you're a content-based firm and you're not jumping up and down with excitement over Gen AI, I don't understand, because you should be able to become more outcome driven, which will make you stickier and will remove any sense of like commoditization that firms have when you're strictly just delivering a deliverable or, just kind of creating content. And I'm not trying to diminish the power of really good content. And there's some amazing creators out there, but I'm just trying to speak the reality that in our market, content has been highly, highly commoditized.
Yeah, it definitely has. And I do think the value of AI is getting a lot of the non-creative pieces kind of out of the way very quickly, so that you can really double down on just the creativity and the insights that you can provide and your SME can provide that no one else can.
Yep.
And now this article is 10 times more valuable because you spent your time doing the high leverage work rather than all this other stuff.
Exactly.
So, right. So you mentioned earlier about providing value back to ecosystems. and that being something within the future for agencies. SmartBug is well connected with tech partners. I don't know how many you have. I think probably 4 big ones. Just HubSpot being probably one of the largest, and where I first heard of SmartBug. Probably a lot of other people. But what are you doing, I guess, within the ecosystem to kind of foster growth, not just for the ecosystem and for your partner, but for yourself, and kind of doing it all under one, what's a positive, like trying to think, like motion under goodwill, I guess would be like the right. Like a lot of people go into partner relationships saying, what's in it for me? And it's obviously not the case here. And so how are you approaching that in a way that was a long-winded question to get there, but there you have it.
Yeah. No, I get it. There's when I talk to agency owners and operators who are platform agnostic, I worry about them. Like, I think, how do you do it? Because I think about people and scaling an organization. And maybe you can do that if you're content with having an agency like sub 30 people. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like that's the model. Maybe that works for you. But at SmartBug, we're aiming to grow, and I'm looking for scalability. And so what made the most sense was for us to go all in with like a few key partners, and then build out additional partner relationships that support those key partners. So for example, HubSpot, as you mentioned, they're a tier 1 partner of ours. We have very, very few tier 1 partners. We've got HubSpot, we have Klaviyo, and we have Google. So we're a Google Premier partner. So we have those. So that means every single one of our clients, if they're working with us, they are using one of those platforms. And let's like dial in right now on the HubSpot one, because that's the largest part of our market. So all of our clients that fall under the HubSpot arm, like they're all using HubSpot. They're all using some part of HubSpot, whether it's the Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Service Hub, or across the entire platform. And then there are other needs that they might have. So maybe they have a more robust account-based sales and marketing motion. Maybe they have more sophisticated video marketing or sales needs. Perhaps they are a SaaS company and they need more in-product insights that they want to be able to take action on through marketing and sales workflows. We'll then identify other partners. So we've got about like 35, 40 other partners that are tiers. I'm going to call them tiers 2 through 4 that we might add on to HubSpot. But the common denominator is they all have HubSpot. So what this does is, first, it allows us to prioritize. So we've said flat out, and I can say that to other partners, hey, we want to work with you because we see this as a gap right now. But I just want you to know that if HubSpot builds this, like, we're going to go all in on HubSpot. That's our first primary, like that's who brought us to the dance, right? Like, we're staying with this partner. And they typically get it. They're like, okay, no, I understand. And I say to them, you always have to show me how you're doing something that enhances HubSpot, how you're doing something, how your solution helps drive more value for our customer out of HubSpot, how it helps them hit their goals faster, whatever it is. And if you can't do that, then it's probably not a big priority for us. Or if it's, well, you can do it in HubSpot, but this is an alternative, it's not going to be a tier 2 in our book. It's going to be further down on the list. And those tiers help us decide like what to really prioritize. So once you start, though, doing things that way, and you think about like segmenting your customers, we know I've got this group of customers that are maybe earlier in their growth stage where I just care about making them really wildly successful on HubSpot, period, end of story. We're probably not going to introduce anything else. I've got another subset that are my expansion team, and they're using HubSpot as their core, but there's maybe other solutions that they might require based off of their go-to-market motion. Now, my ecosystem, the group, the community that we serve and that we kind of service and support, that's now expanded, and there's other stakeholders, and there's other initiatives, and there's a way to kind of collaborate and partner together. So you you can go further and faster, right? Together as one bigger team. So I think working within an ecosystem and creating these sub ecosystems for yourself, it helps with prioritization. Like it helps you say no to things. It helps you with having training and tools and resources for your team, and it allows you to better, I think, scale versus just being completely technology agnostic. Um, that sounds kind of scary to me.
Yeah. What I like about it, so you can say no an infinite amount of times, and every time you're just crossing off another option. Once you say yes, you've crossed off every other option by going all in there. And there is some power in that, and being able to say this is what we do. It makes your decision process so much faster, because it's like, no, HubSpot is tier one. This is what we're focusing on right now. Like if you want to be jump on this bandwagon and kind of go along with us, like you got to be doing these things. I think there's a lot of value in doing that, and you can't do it if you're agnostic. And so,
no, I mean, or not, at least I haven't seen how to do it really well, or how to really do it at scale. And so the ecosystem approach has just really, has served us well. And then there's the ecosystem that we're in. So there's people that we're partners of, like the HubSpots of the world. But then there's also partners we have, independent consultants, affiliate partners, people who maybe they go in and do really robust M&A brand strategies. So we do some brand strategy at SmartBug, but it's not like our core and singular focus. So it may make sense for a client of ours to work with one of our other brand strategist contractors, someone that, or not contractors, I'm sorry, like or affiliate partner that we've collaborated with, who then also knows how we function and knows what kind of value we can bring. And they start with that person, and then that kind of transitions into ongoing work and execution support that we're able to provide. We've got it coming from that direction as well. And then the other thing about some of these ecosystems, like not just HubSpot, but other platforms that we've collaborated with, if we can help make those customers stickier, if we can help improve retention and help expand like actual activation of that platform with that customer, we've now provided a ton of value to the end customer, but also to that partner, who's then going to serve as a referral engine for more business that they're going to send to us. And so it's you just have to have like those clear lanes that you're focused on. So to your point, you can say no, when to say no, because I think the hardest part about running an agency is there's so many good ideas, and there are so many ideas, period, right? And then you have to figure out which ones are good and which ones just sound great because you're sleep deprived, and then figure out like, well, what do we actually want to tackle? And being that, and I imagine this is the case in a lot of other firms, although I've only ever worked at SmartBug as far as an agency, so I don't have any other agency experience. I've always ever been in house, but you think you can take on more. You think, let's do it all, right? And you just can't. And so you have to literally protect yourself from yourself.
Right. The struggle of every optimist.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you went from CRO at SmartBug to CEO. What are some of those skills that you took over that you think are beneficial for being in the CEO seat, and how have those skills kind of changed the way, I guess, you're thinking through certain problems now that you're in this role?
When are you asking the skills that I brought from being a CRO, or are you asking the skills that were the gap between CEO and CRO?
Well, now I'm interested in both, but I meant the skills you had that you've taken with you.
Yeah. I think being a chief revenue officer before becoming CEO was extraordinarily helpful, because I was responsible for marketing, for sales, and for our delivery team, our customer success, our client services team. I was in a position where I can think holistically about the entire customer experience. So I was eating, sleeping, and breathing this idea of what is the experience that someone has with us before they know who we are, right? as they're getting to know us, when they decide to actually engage with us, what kind of a commitment that they give, and that how we partner together, how we help them achieve their goals, and even down to if we're no longer serving them, if we are no longer working with them, how we offboard them and stay connected to them in the future, because I believe that the world is a very small place. And I believe that, I believe in the karmic rules of life, and what goes around comes around, and the flywheel effect that you can have in your network and your relationships with your business. And so that like big picture vision of customer experience really helped shape who I am as a CEO today. It doesn't mean that I'm not focused on profitability, right? And our financial strength and like market value. Those are things that matter to me very much so. But I'm going to approach growth and profitability and partnership through the lens of the full customer experience because of having that CRO role.
I know there are a lot of agency owners that are looking for who should replace me. If I wanted to pull myself out of the seat, what should happen? And so being able to identify some of those skills and maybe people within the organization, super helpful.
And I think if I can go back a step, I mean,
Sure.
I was a client, right? Then I started as the head of sales and marketing, and this a little bit of insight. SmartBug was SmartBug's founder and original CEO Ryan Malone was hiring for a head of marketing and a head of sales. And I reached out to him and said, I want to do both. So I joined as that VP of sales and marketing. And then it was a natural progression for me to then take in client services as we're focused on not just retention, but also expansion and growing out of scope revenue from our client base. And I was in that VP of sales and marketing role when we started to talk about a succession plan. And so CRO made the next best it was the next best move, the next step that made sense for us. And I would really encourage an agency owner to maybe think that way, think about the talent they have on their team and who they can groom up within the organization, because the institutional knowledge and the connection to culture is so important for your growth as a business, that I think that is I'm biased because this was my path, but I think that is a better path to succession planning than bringing someone from the outside in to kind of scale the company to the next level. I think you can have other executives that you bring in, and that's what we've done in bringing in CFO, general counsel, VPs of technology, bring in these other roles. But the difference between one agency and another is the people that are in it, and your culture is the reflection of the people that are in your organization. And so I think you have to stay anchored to that culture if you want to kind of grow very successfully.
Yeah, I love that. I'm biased to the same approach. So, but awesome. Okay, we got through a lot. I've got two more questions for you. With the first being, what book do you recommend every agency leader should read?
Oh, damn it. Okay, I got the book I think every agency leader should read is Brené Brown's book. Oh my gosh, what is the name of it? Dare to Lead. Okay.
Dare to Lead.
Dare to Lead.
Right.
And the reason why I would say that is one of the things I've noticed inside of our agency and with leaders is you've got a lot of dreamers. You've probably got people who are very creative and who are used to or could be their own boss and be in charge, and they have high expectations. They probably have very high expectations. If you're doing client work, man, you must have really high expectations for yourself to put yourself out there also to do work on someone's behalf. And what I love in what Brené Brown talks about in Dare to Lead is shining that light back on what your expectations are and how you are enabling your team as a leader to be successful. And she talks about this idea, this concept of painting it done. So not just assigning something out, but actually being able to illustrate, being able to describe what the final output looks like and why, like how it's going to be used, like actually like crystal ball it, like what does the future really look like? And I think our teams need that from a management perspective, but our clients and our account managers also need that for client growth. And so I love the concepts that she explores in Dare to Lead, and I would really recommend it for any agency leader.
Yeah, I think it's great for just expectation management, which is probably a large portion of our jobs as like leaders. And so
definitely.
Awesome. Last question. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Well, you can visit smartbugmedia.com, or I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, Jen Spencer, SmartBug Media. Find me, connect with me, let me know that you heard me on this podcast.
Awesome. Jen, thank you so much for joining. This was a great conversation.
Great to chat.
That's the show, everyone. You can leave a rating and review, or you can do something that benefits you. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Agency Forward on Substack. You'll get weekly content, resources, and links from around the internet to help you drive your agency forward.